If you enjoy the daily uploads on the channel, be sure to leave a like. It helps the videos be seen by others across the world. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hey, what's up guys? It is Slick or Slickmoff here, back again with another video talking about this article that I just started looking at. I only read the first of the 10, and this article is 10 things Spider-Man PS4 must learn from Batman Arkham. How about we make the stealth good this time is the subheading. So quite inflammatory. So they start here by talking like, yeah, the Batman games are good, but not the best. How can they be better? Okay, so the first thing that it says, as the subtitle alluded to, is to make stealth feel challenging. And basically what they say here is that the games were too easy, especially in regards to the stealth combat, that they're too choreographed, and that kind of thing. I see this to an extent. This is a big sort of criticism that a lot of people have of the Batman Arkham games, that being that they're too simple, and that they're not challenging enough. I think that part of the reason why is, especially in regards to Arkham Knight, is you have so many gadgets, like 15 or more gadgets that you have at your disposal, most of which you can use in a stealth setting. And that's one of the biggest concerns I have now for Spider-Man PS4, is that it looks like there's only going to be 3 gadgets in the game, which could get pretty stale pretty quickly. So hopefully that will not be the case, and we'll have a lot of different gadgets to use to sort of spice up gameplay, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but, okay, they sort of concede here. Batman is the literal king of the shadows, and in capturing the essence of the character, it made sense to make him feel particularly powerful. So basically what they're saying is that, perhaps Spider-Man will not be as good at stealth, and that would make sense, especially if you're doing a daytime mission, whereas all of the Batman Arkham games take place at night, so that certainly makes sense. 10 things it must learn. Number 9. Treat the supporting cast better. Now, this I do not agree with at all. And like I said, this is my first time seeing this. So, the only way I would agree with this is if we're talking about, like, for instance, maybe Barbara Gordon was, like, mistreated because they faked you out and thought that you killed her, or they killed her in the game, or something like that. But otherwise, what they're saying is that they victimized... Okay, so that actually is what they're saying. Victimized, killed off, or just mistreated completely in an effort to reinstate the primacy of the character. Like I said, I can see that for Barbara Gordon to an extent with Alfred in Arkham Origins, but really that's just a hero saving his allies and the people close to him. Spider-Man does it all the time for MJ. I'm sure that he'll do it in this game, just in the same way that Batman saved Barbara Gordon. I don't see anything wrong with this. Victimizing a hero's allies and close friends is completely normal and happens all the time in entertainment. And also the Batman Arkham characters are fleshed out really well. Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin in particular. Alfred gets a good amount of time, not screen time, not in-game time, but he's still over the microphone all the time. And there's a good amount of character development there. So I'm kind of 0 for 2 in agreeing with them so far. Okay, number 3, they say, build a new universe. ROCKSTEADY absolutely nailed in their games. The idea to create a new universe has to be the one they perfected the most. Okay, so I agree with this. Build a new universe, so to build an Arkhamverse, but they've already announced they're doing this, so this is already null and void. They're like already not basing it off of a movie or something like this, so I don't really see the point in them saying that. Number 7, make the world feel lived in. Now, this is something I do agree with 100%. The Arkham games did not do a very good job of this, with the city being abandoned in all 4 titles. So having a lot going on, being able to interact with civilians, we've already seen from gameplay that is going to be much improved upon, and that's going to be something where we could rescue civilians. There's just more going on in the city instead of being a lifeless void of what it once was. So I definitely agree with that point, and we will be seeing that. Nailing the combat. When it comes to combat, few games have managed to impart as great an influence as ROCKSTEADY's Arkham games. The free flow system introduced in Arkham Asylum has been apt, parroted, and blatantly copied by dozens of other titles in the years since. No other combat system has managed to convey the sheer sense of power, speed, or poise of Batman quite like ROCKSTEADY's own. It's not a mirror image of the Arkham games, but noting both the momentum and environmental elements of these titles can provide Insomniac with a perfectly weighted combat system. I think that you already see that. There's certainly elements of the Spider-Man PS4 gameplay that perhaps mirror or resemble in some way. Of course, like environmental takedowns from Arkham Knight, something like this. But I'm not saying that they copied them. You know, they could have very well came up with those ideas on their own without the Arkham games being there. And I'm not convinced necessarily that Batman Arkham Knight invented environmental takedowns, because of course that's not the case either. So it's tough to tell, and I'm not accusing them of copying, but they make a good point here that there's a lot to take from, those games. Though the Arkham series was revered for a whole host of reasons, its boss battles definitely were not one. Once again, don't agree with this at all. They mentioned the Mr. Freeze and the Killer Croc missions in Asylum and City and Asylum respectively. But they're excluding, Deathstroke in Arkham Knight was quite good. Not in Arkham Knight, sorry, Arkham Origins. In Arkham Knight, it was quite bad. But we can also, talk about the Joker boss fight in Arkham City. I think the Ra's al Ghul boss fight in Arkham City is quite good as well. So yeah, I'm not really convinced that this is the case. I think for Arkham Knight, it's definitely true that the boss fights were not good. Mainly, they just involved tanks too much. But yeah, I don't agree with this. But of course, I hope Spider-Man PS4 has good boss fights, but I don't agree with throwing shade at the Arkham games. Yes, it is true. The Batman Arkham games had a phenomenal soundtrack, especially Arkham Knight with Inner Demons, as one track in particular. But yeah, definitely, great work there. Don't oversaturate one villain. Although Batman had a massive rogues gallery to boast of, there is one villain that holds particular prominence both on and off the page. The Joker is that villain. And while he's very much the best Bat-Rogue out there, the Clown Prince has been oversaturated as of late. In Asylum City Origins Night, the Joker serves as an ancillary antagonist. Every game is his game. And while that's fine to a degree, all of Batman's other villains take a back seat. Okay, I don't agree with this either. First of all, in Arkham Origins, he's a plot twist. Yes, he's the main villain, but I don't think it's his game. Arkham City, he's in the game actually much less. Like, you're doing Penguin's mission much more than you're actually, doing the Joker stuff, if we probably had to calculate it out. Ra's al Ghul and Hugo Strange are the main villains of Arkham City, not the Joker. While the Joker had the final cinematic, boss fight, he was not the grand master orchestrator of the overall plot that Ra's al Ghul was at that point. So I don't necessarily agree that it's his game in Arkham City. And in Arkham Knight, he's not even alive. Yes, he sort of serves as a point to extrapolate like the psychoanalytical portions of Batman's psyche that ROCKSTEADY wanted to explore in that game. But I wouldn't say Arkham Knight is his game. I mean, Arkham Knight is not the Joker's game by any stretch, really. So yeah, I don't agree with this at all. First of all, the Joker is the most iconic comic book antagonist of all time. Spider-Man has great villains, but nothing compares to the Joker. He's simply the best comic book villain ever made. And with that being said, it makes sense to include him. And the Arkham games really are about the duality and the conflict of Batman and the Joker. And the reason the Joker is so good is because he says a lot about Batman. They conflict against one another ideologically, intellectually, less so physically, because of course the Joker is not really a threat to Batman physically. But ideologically, writers use them all the time to contrast against one another, their beliefs. The Joker kills people randomly. Batman doesn't kill, to name one among many. So it makes sense why they use the Joker, but also fans just love him. So yes, I mean, I agree that you don't want to have, like, if they make a Spider-Man trilogy, to not just have Green Goblin for all three games, but the Green Goblin is not as intriguing of a villain as the Joker. So I would hope that they wouldn't do it, but for different reasons. I'm okay with them reusing the Joker because he's the most iconic villain of all time. And I'm not okay with them using, Green Goblin 3 or 4 games in a row because he's not intriguing enough. He's not interesting enough. I'd rather see Venom the game after that, and then the game after that, Vulture, etc. Now, this is something that I do agree with. Basically, what they say here is, apart from perhaps the Riddler rooms in Arkham Knight and the climax of Professor Pig's and Hush's arc, can you genuinely name a compelling Arkham Knight side quest? And I agree with this. The big problem with the Arkham Knight side quests is that most of them didn't really have a story, like, especially Arkham Knight, for instance. Like destroying the outposts. Those are mostly gameplay segments where you're just beating people up, You take down however many outposts, and then you're done. You chase cars around, and then you're done. There's no story there, but with Professor Pig and Hush, and even Azrael to a lesser degree, those are great side missions. And I think that having a plot is really what makes a great side mission, whereas a really bad side mission is one that feels laborious and you don't look forward to doing. And sometimes Riddler did feel that way in Arkham Knight. So really what I would like to see is focus on story, narrative, and almost having like a mini game within a game, like a little 1 hour campaign for the side missions. So I definitely agree with that. Easter eggs, lots and lots of Easter eggs. The Arkham series has been able to produce as many as Batman Arkham. There are literally hundreds of them layered between Asylum and Night. Definitely Easter eggs are a big thing, and they've already announced so many Easter eggs in the game, and there's going to be great stuff in regards to the Easter eggs. Trust me on that. So I'm not concerned about that at all. But they're right to say that the Batman Arkham games had incredible Easter eggs. Okay, guys, I hope you'll have enjoyed the video. Sorry if my Arkham fanboyness was showing through in the video. Of course it was, because I'm just unapologetically a Batman Arkham fanboy, But it's okay. Sometimes acceptance is the first step. If you can acknowledge it, you've won half the battle. So anyway, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. My name is Slick Moth, and I'll see you guys in the next video.